We want to thank you for joining us here this morning. It's unfortunate that it's under these circumstances following the passing of Helio Garcia, our beloved lieutenant. This is an extremely difficult time for his family, for this police department, and everyone involved. Before we get started, we felt it was appropriate for our chaplain, Ms. Barbara, to lead us in prayer.
Thank you. Let us look unto our Maker. Heavenly Father, we come to you in a time of discomfort. We come to you in a moment of grief. Our hearts are grieving, and we don't pretend that we're not grieving. We look to your comfort for our city department, our police department, Julio's family. We ask that you go comfort them. And we ask that you just give us all the strength to go through these times. We know you as a comforter on today. We know you as a healer on today. So we ask that you send all your mercies to comfort us. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I'd like to recognize and thank our city leaders who have been a tremendous support system for all of us and this department and Lieutenant Garcia's family. Many of them have personal relationships with Lieutenant Garcia. I'd like to thank Mayor Pro Tem, Linda Pritchett, who has joined us, city council members that have been present. We have Ms. Carmelita Gums, we have Ms. Helen Willis, and we also have our Madam City Manager who is here, as well as JC Sebastian. So thank you guys for your leadership and your continued support during this process. We'd also like to thank Chief Meadows for leading us through this difficult time as a police department. His leadership has been very comforting for everyone involved. So we decided to bring you guys here to provide an update on where we're at in this investigation, to bring you up to speed on what we know and what we're still working to gather. So on Tuesday night around 11 p.m., Lieutenant Garcia was working gray night patrol on Flat Shoals Road when another vehicle veered into his lane, crossing over the double lanes, striking his vehicle head on. At that time, Lieutenant Garcia was rushed to the hospital, where unfortunately he succumbed to his injuries. At that point in time, our officers and Chief Meadows notified his family members and stayed long through the night with them, at least till the next day, to make sure that they had the support that they needed. The other driver, 31-year-old Centoria McLean, is currently in critical condition. We are keeping a very close eye on how she's doing because it is a minute-by-minute update, and it is very critical at this time. As far as that part of the investigation, we have turned that over to the Georgia State Patrol. We will be limited in what we can say, but I'll let you direct those questions to Chief Meadows in just a few moments, and you guys can ask more specifics. Now, we do just want to make sure that you guys take this moment as journalists to put yourself in the shoes of the family members. Some of the friends of the family are here. This is a very fast-moving process for them. They're processing as you all are during your coverage of this, and we just ask that you put yourself in their shoes as you decide on which questions to ask. I'm going to bring up Chief Meadows in a moment, who's going to provide some more details on the life service and impact of Lieutenant Garcia.
Good morning. I wanted to start off by thanking each of you. The coverage of the life and legacy of Helio Garcia has been outstanding. I've seen most of your coverage, and certainly you all have done your best to capture what he meant to this organization. I also want to thank the mayor and council and Ms. Subadan for their support of this agency. As you could imagine, it's a difficult time. In the 39 years I've been doing this job, I've lost a lot of friends in the line of duty. And certainly none hits harder than this one to me, simply because Helio meant a great deal to me as a leader in this organization. When I first came aboard as the police chief, he was one of the first people that approached me and said, I want to go with you to help build this police department. And certainly, he's been an integral part in helping us build this organization into what it is today. And I make no mistake about it, certainly he's been not only a leader of this police department, but he's also been a great friend to me and this organization. And unfortunately, his family was scheduled to be here with us today. They had a scheduling conflict that came about at the last minute, and they weren't able to attend. And so our hearts go out to them as they're going through making arrangements for Helio's funeral. As I said earlier, he meant a great deal to me and this organization. He served the South Fulton Police Department most of his time in the Internal Affairs Unit, where he helped us to build a certain standard in this organization. And that standard remains high to this day, mostly because of Helio and the work that he's done within the South Fulton Police Department. And so, you know, having said that, I hope that you all continue to capture the legacy and the life that he's lived in terms of helping us to build this organization. So having said that, I would like to open it up to questions.
Chief, you mentioned that you've lost multiple people, I'm guessing in different departments all over Metro Atlanta. This one just seems, you know, when we look at it, you know, he wasn't at a SWAT standoff, he wasn't doing anything dangerous, and really, it could have been any of us, you know, traveling along that road. Can you just speak to how that's affecting everyone's grief process?
That's an excellent question. And we understand that when we put this uniform on every day and we go out to do our jobs, the simplest task can result in serious harm to our police officers. And he was just driving down Flat Shoals Road, not expecting someone to veer into his lane. I can think of countless circumstances where police officers have been just carrying out simple duties every day that resulted in their deaths. And so when you see something tragic like this, especially when it can be prevented, it certainly hits us hard because you don't expect it to happen. You know, you expect to go on a call where you might have to get physical with an individual, or you might have to pull out your service weapon, but you don't expect when you're just driving down the street that you might be met with your end.
We talk a little bit about the bond between South Fulton and with the officers. It's not a huge department, it's not a major, huge city, but talk about the bond and the relationships you have with the officers and the officers have with each other.
So I got into policing back in the 80s, and I had the privilege of being trained by some people that were around from the 60s. And the one thing that I learned during that time is that when you have an organization where you're met with adversity, when you're met with adverse circumstances, it's important for you to build a culture of family. Not family to the point to where you're not being overly transparent with your communities, but family that when things like this happen, you're able to lean on one another, you're able to power through adversity, you're able to make sure that the organization will endure, right? And so as we've built this culture here, it hadn't been for everyone. Quite frankly, some people have come into the culture and they've left the organization. But we're going to make sure that we continue to build a culture that's inclusive, a culture that represents what the citizens of South Fulton want to see, and certainly Helio embodied that in his time here with the South Fulton Police Department.
So, Chief, everyone always expects that you would have a situation where you lose an officer, quote unquote, in the line of duty, generic way of saying on the job. So this way is completely different, obviously. We just know that an officer was shot in, I think, it was Baldwin County last night.
Right.
So can you kind of explain to people that notion that when you all walk out of your door every morning, or if you're working the night shift afternoon, that you never know if you're going to come home?
And that's the hardest part of the job. You know, when you have family members that expect you to return every day. When I called Helio's wife, she instantly started asking me questions over and over again about what was happening. And I said, Elaine, Ellie, I need to see you in person. And she kept calling, she kept asking me for additional information, and it was hard because I know my wife would respond the same way, and it was important for me to make sure that I was as transparent with her as I could possibly be. And so, as you could imagine, she's devastated. I think about not only his family, not only his wife, but his children as well, and what they meant to him. Every time I sat down with Helio, he always brought up his children and where they were and their accomplishments in life. And so when you don't know that you're not going to be home, it's difficult. And so he lived his life with his family every day to the fullest. And that was one of the things I really respected about him.
Chief, I know you remember the story that we did when you all had the training with dealing with folks with autism, and
Right.
you had Helio interview with us, and he
Right.
was very open about his family situation. And I mean, he really told me at least 18 stories about his family in that little bit of time we were sitting
Right.
there, which warmed my heart because not everybody is centered with family like we used to be. How do you carry on because I know he brought that to work too, because I could just tell how he interacted with other people. Like, how do you keep his legacy alive by carrying on what he used to do?
Well, and that's an excellent question, because with Helio, he was very open about his family circumstances, and I remember the story that he did with you all. And so it was important for us as leaders. We understand that we're not going to be our best selves if our family life isn't what it should be. And so as a leader, if I have the right type of relationship with my people, then I know when they're going through adverse circumstances away from this job. And Helio was always very open with me about some of the things that he was experiencing in his personal life. And so when we look at ways that we can carry on his legacy, that autism training that we've put on meant a great deal to him. And so he was always actively involved in that, actively involved in the circumstances involving to the Latino community, not just here in the city of South Fulton, but throughout the region. He was always calling me about ways that we could liaison with different organizations. And so it's important for us to understand that relationships meant a great deal to him, personal and professionally, that we continue to build and leverage a network of relationships throughout the region. And I believe that's the best way to honor Helio's memory.
Chief, can I ask one of your ranking guys a question? Whoever you want to pick.
Certainly. Let's, Major Rogers, you want to come up?
Yes. So Major, the chief, of course, the top flag officer, so it comes with different perspective. In terms of the guys that are going to be in that car on the road every day now, knowing that one of their brothers is not there, how do they handle it? And what is the department, and I guess maybe the city can answer, doing in terms of any kind of counseling, or what do you guys do for those guys that are in the car?
That's a great question. So we actually have some peer support and employee assistance program resources available for the officers, which they'll be taking part in actually today. Once we get done with the press conference, we have that group of officers who were working great nights that night to come in, speak to the available resources that we made available to get that help, that if they continue to need resources, they can get that help available. They are scheduled to come back to work this weekend. However, we provided them with paid administrative leave off to continue to be able to decompress and not have to worry about coming back to the shift after this tragic loss, and we will continue to provide them the resources that they need to get through this.
How did it hit you personally?
I've known Helio almost my entire career. We worked together, criminal investigations, internal affairs, and then when I was promoted to major, when I went back to field operations, the chief asked me, who did I want? I said, I want Helio. We brought him to great nights, and he did a phenomenal job. That's all he talked about was his shift. He was proud of the sergeants. He was proud of the officers that he had. Every night I got sometimes 2 a.m. phone calls from Helio. Hey, Major, what do we do in this situation? I say, hey, let's talk through it. We'll talk through it. But man, Helio is going to be greatly missed by everybody in this police department. He just.
Last question.
Chief, any kind of resources or things that?
I'm sorry?
Any arrangements and resources, anything like that we need to build for?
Do you want
Oh, you said.
for the family? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the resources?
Do you want to mention?
Yes.
For the family.
Name your title, please.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Subidan. I'm city manager here in the city of South Fulton. What I want to say is the city is fully committed to provide all resources necessary to our officers and, more importantly, to the family. Our HR department is coordinating any and all benefits, any and all. We have heard from both private and public organizations, to include the governor, from all over the state, all over the country, and we are committed to ensure that the family gets all of the support that they need. This organization commits millions of dollars into our police department to make sure they have every resource available. And we will continue to stand with the family, not just in this immediate moment, but into the future. Thank you.
Chief, I just have one more, since we were expecting the family and they're not here. Can you just speak for them? I think we all can imagine what you're feeling, but can you just put it into words?
So I've sat down with, and we call her Ellie, Helio's wife, and as you could imagine, she's rather understandably distraught. And so we've offered not only emotional support, but to the, sorry, Channel 5. Okay. Okay.
Just put it down. And you can start over.
Okay. We've not only offered them emotional support, but as the city manager said, we're doing as much as we can to try to help process and make arrangements and things of that nature. And so it's important that we not only support them today and right after the funeral, but well into the future, because, you know, as you can imagine, we have a single mother now that still has to raise children. And so it's important that we continue to support that effort. And so we have a lot of resources in terms of state resources along with federal resources. They've all reached out to us. As the city manager mentioned, I spoke to Governor Kemp on yesterday, and he was very supportive and said that whatever we need from the state of Georgia, they're prepared to assist. And then I've also spoken with Colonel Hutchins over the Georgia State Patrol. He called me on yesterday, and we had a very poignant conversation about things that we needed to do to move forward. And so the expectation is that we'll be able to support the family in a very meaningful way. This is a first for us. And so as a city and as an organization, and so we're kind of feeling our way through it. It hasn't always been easy. It's been bumpy in some instances, but at the end of the day, we're committed to moving this organization and the family forward.
Has the city heard from the White House?
I've heard from a lot of people. I don't think the White House is one of them.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.